Heavens trembled as a storm gathered over the shattered remains of Asgard. Once a kingdom of splendor and might, now it lay in ruins, its golden towers reduced to broken relics, its mighty halls swallowed by the devastation of war. The scent of ash and ozone thickened the air, mingling with the echoes of past battles. Ragnarok had come and gone, yet Asgard's death throes still lingered, its remnants scattered across the cosmos. Amidst the ruins, Kratos stood motionless. His crimson tattoo glowed against his pale, battle-scarred skin, his muscles taut with controlled fury. He had walked these paths before, not in Asgard, but in the husks of other fallen realms, shattered by gods who claimed supremacy. His past haunted him like an eternal shadow, whispering of the divine blood he had spilled, Zeus, Poseidon, Ares, Balder, Heimdall, and yet, even now, the Ghost of Sparta was drawn into another war. Kratos' hands clenched around the blades of chaos, their smoldering chains coiled around his forearms like shackles of fate. The blades pulsed with ancient fury, remnants of the curse that bound him to a life of endless conflict. But this time he was not here for war, he was here for power. Legend spoke of an artifact buried deep beneath Asgard's ruins, an object of such unfathomable energy that even the All-Father had feared its use. It was said to predate Odin himself, hidden away beneath the Golden City, locked behind countless seals. Kratos did not seek conquest, nor did he crave the secrets of the Norse gods. He had learned long ago that the affairs of deities only led to suffering, yet the visions had guided him here, the whisper of an ancient force, calling his name from the depths of Asgard's ruined halls. He did not ignore such omens, but Kratos was not alone. A deep rumble vibrated through the fractured ground. The air thickened with the weight of something approaching, something colossal. The skies above darkened, not from the ruins of the past, but from a storm of divine fury. The ground quaked beneath his feet, and the static hum of raw power filled the air. Then it struck. A blinding bolt of lightning shattered the sky, crashing into the ground before Kratos, with a force that sent dust and debris erupting into the air. The Spartan raised an arm against the blinding light, his senses sharpened to the presence of another. He could already feel the power surging through the air, thick with authority and divine rage. And then he saw him. Thor, the god of thunder, stood amidst the swirling dust, his massive frame outlined against the stormy backdrop. His red beard was tangled from the wind's embrace, his piercing blue eyes burning with untamed fury. And in his right hand, he gripped the instrument of his wrath, Mjolnir. The warhammer hummed with raw power, crackling with tendrils of lightning that lashed at the ground, as though the weapon itself thirsted for battle. You tread where you do not belong, Spartan. Thor's voice was a deep, resonant growl, carrying the weight of a god who had spent centuries waging war. This land has suffered enough, and I will not allow another god to lay claim to what remains. Kratos stood unfazed, his expression unreadable. He had heard threats before, from gods, titans, and monsters alike. He had fought them all, and he had survived. I seek no kingdom, he replied, his voice a measured, gravelly whisper. Only what lies beneath this land. Thor narrowed his eyes. And what makes you think you are worthy of what Asgard hides? Kratos tightened his grip on the blades of chaos. He had no interest in debates. The only language the gods truly understood was violence. Thunder rumbled overhead as the storm grew more violent, responding to Thor's rising anger. The air buzzed with electricity, and the distant echo of Mjolnir's past conquests seemed to hum in the wind. Thor took a step forward, his movement slow, deliberate. He was not a god of words, he was a god of action. The realms have suffered enough at the hands of war-hungry gods. Obu, Thor muttered, his voice carrying the weight of generations of battles. I have seen the destruction gods like you leave behind, and I will not allow it to happen again. Kratos exhaled, his gaze never leaving Thor's. You know nothing of the battles I have fought. Thor's eyes flashed with fury. I know enough. The tension between them thickened, as if the very fabric of reality strained under the weight of their presence. Two warriors, two executioners of divine fate, stood on the brink of an inevitable and cataclysmic battle. Kratos loosened his stance, the chains of the blades of chaos shifting as he prepared for what was to come. He had battled creatures that defied reason, had killed gods who believed themselves invincible. And yet, here he stood again, staring into the eyes of yet another deity who believed his power to be unmatched. Thor raised Mjolnir, and the sky split apart. The heavens burned with lightning, and the storm reached its peak, as if the cosmos itself braced for what was about to unfold. Kratos knew the truth. No throne, no kingdom, no pantheon had ever been powerful enough to stop him. The battlefield was set, and the storm was about to break.
Are you just watching?
Subscribe, please.
The sky split apart with a deafening roar as Thor hurled Mjolnir toward Kratos. The warhammer tore through the air like a comet, its surface crackling with raw electricity, its sheer force capable of crushing mountains into dust. Kratos moved, not away, but toward the incoming attack. His reflexes, honed through years of battle against gods and titans alike, propelled him forward. At the last moment, he twisted his body, narrowly dodging the hammer as it whistled past him, the force alone enough to shatter the ruins around them. Thor extended his hand. Mjolnir obeyed. The hammer reversed direction in an instant, its flight path twisting unnaturally as it came rocketing back toward Kratos' spine. The Ghost of Sparta sensed it and dropped low, using his blades of chaos to vault over the weapon in a seamless maneuver. As his body arced through the air, he twisted, the blades igniting with infernal energy as he lashed them toward Thor's chest. The Norse god barely had time to react. He lifted his left forearm, summoning a crackling shield of lightning to absorb the blow. The impact sent a shockwave rippling outward, tearing apart what little remained of Asgard's ruins. Kratos landed in a crouch, already lunging again, his warrior's instincts recognizing Thor's momentary opening. With a roar, the Spartan swung his blades in rapid succession, a flurry of fiery slashes that forced Thor onto the defensive. The god of thunder met every strike with his own divine power, Mjolnir colliding against the blades of chaos, sending sparks and arcs of lightning flying in all directions. Then Thor made his move. He feinted to the left before driving his knee into Kratos' ribs with bone-crushing force. The Spartan grunted, the sheer impact sending him skidding backward across the broken ground. But Thor wasn't done. Lightning gathered in his palm, a storm forged into pure destruction. With a deafening clap, he slammed his hands together, unleashing a shockwave of godly power. The resulting explosion engulfed the battlefield, the force of it sending Kratos tumbling through the air before he crashed against the remnants of a collapsed temple. Dust and debris rained down around him, but Kratos was already moving. Pain was irrelevant. He emerged from the rubble, his grip on the blades of chaos tightening. His rage burned hotter than Thor's storm. Thor grinned. "Still standing?" Kratos responded by hurling the Leviathan axe. The frost-covered weapon cut through the storm, its enchanted edge glowing with ancient runes. Thor barely had time to react before the axe sank deep into his shoulder, frost spreading across his armor, numbing his muscles. But Thor was not so easily broken. With a battle cry that shook the heavens, the god of thunder unleashed his divine fury. A surge of pure lightning exploded from his body, sending Kratos flying backward. Before the Spartan could recover, Thor was upon him, lifting Mjolnir high. Then he swung with all his might. The impact was apocalyptic. The warhammer collided with Kratos' chest, sending him crashing through multiple layers of ruins, his body digging a trench into the battlefield as he finally came to a stop. For a moment, silence reigned. The storm raged overhead, its fury matched only by the gods below. Thor, his breath coming in heavy bursts, marched toward the fallen warrior. "You've fought well, Spartan," he said, gripping Mjolnir tighter. "But this is where your legend ends." Kratos coughed, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. His muscles ached, his body battered, but he had suffered worse. He had died before, He had killed death itself, and he would not fall here. His rage ignited. With a furious bellow, Kratos slammed his fists into the ground, his Spartan fury manifesting in a seismic eruption of power. The battlefield shook violently, as if the very earth rebelled against the gods who waged war upon it. Thor's expression turned to shock as tendrils of ethereal chains erupted from the ground, latching onto his limbs, slowing him down. Kratos, rising to his feet, summoned the blades of chaos, their flames burning hotter than ever. The Spartan launched himself forward, closing the distance in an instant. With unrelenting brutality, he unleashed a frenzied assault, the fiery chains carving through the storm like twin vipers of destruction. Thor struggled against the chains, but Kratos was relentless. He drove his knee into Thor's gut, followed by a brutal uppercut that sent the Norse god staggering. Before Thor could recover, Kratos twisted behind him and, with one final deafening roar, he wrapped the chains of the blades of chaos around Thor's neck and yanked with all his might. The god of thunder fell to his knees, gasping as the flames of the blades seared into his flesh. Kratos stood behind him, every muscle in his body straining as he prepared for the final strike. But Thor was not finished. With the last of his strength, he summoned Mjolnir, the warhammer answering his call instantly. Before Kratos could react, Thor spun and swung upward, the weapon colliding with Kratos' chin in a brutal lightning-infused uppercut. The impact sent Kratos hurtling into the air. As he crashed down, the battlefield fell silent once more. Both warriors lay still. Both had taken all they could endure. The storm above began to fade. The battle was over, but only one god would rise first.